The opinions expressed in this podcast are the opinions of the host and his individual guests and should not be taken as any particular investment advice.
SideChain.
What is up, everybody? So this is the first podcast we're doing in probably a month, and it's all my fault. I was MIA. I went to BTC Miami. Then I came back with what I thought was the coronavirus, and it was just a bad flu for a week and a half, and then I had to fly to Dubai. So I'm back. We're doing the podcast. We're here with Antoni and Adam from Aleph Zero. Funny story, you guys were actually here. You were the first guests.
That's correct. First of all, happy to be here. Thanks for having us again, I guess.
Yeah, it's a podcast that happened, and then it didn't happen because we deleted it.
That's what we like.
So sorry about that, but it's nice to have you guys here. You know, it's great to see you guys, because that's actually the last time we saw each other was in October when we recorded, and we didn't see each other after that.
Yes,
and we were supposed to get drinks.
Yes, we can do that afterwards, I guess.
Wonderful. I would like that.
We don't have the ticket back, actually, so
we're going by train.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm here by car, but I think I can leave it.
You kind of live in the area, though, right?
Yeah, I live in some small, nondescript village outside of the city, but we'll figure it out. I heard there's this thing called Uber. I don't know if they take crypto, but maybe we can figure something out.
We've got one cab driver in Krakow that takes Bitcoin, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
But it's just like one. It's not like a company. It's like one guy that chooses to.
Yes, you're there. My taxi are free now, and he comes by. He has this huge Bitcoin sticker. And you can just pay with.
That's awesome.
Bitcoin, yeah.
Just Bitcoin? Anything else?
Just Bitcoin.
Just Bitcoin. Smart guy. All right, guys. So we gave a bit of an intro to what you guys are doing, and what you guys are doing is really cool. But it's actually funny, since you were here, you were the first guest, I guess. And every time we were talking about DeFi on any of the other shows, I brought you guys up a lot. I was saying, there's Adam and there's Antoni, and they're doing this really cool stuff, and it's Decentralized Exchanges 2.0, and it's dark pools, and it's just like, I was talking about you guys, and people, I just realized they didn't have a point of reference since we never aired your episode. So if you guys could give the elevator pitch of what you guys are doing right now.
Sure, go for it.
Oh, okay.
Put you on the spot.
Yeah.
All right. So for now, we are just finishing our own platform, blockchain that is, and we are focusing a lot on interoperability. So our main research and future main development focus right now is on threshold signature. I hope in the scope of this podcast we'll get into what it is in specifically, but basically it's about building bridges between blockchains. So that's a basic building block for any exchange. It's basically a decentralized custody solution.
So in layman's terms, one of the key things that I took out of the first episode we did was, right now we have DEXs, we have decentralized exchanges that you have, for example, Ether Delta, right? And it's based purely on Ether. So you can only do trading on ERC20 tokens to Ethereum, right? But you guys are, and I know I'm simplifying this, but in a way, you can have new DEXs, where you can have multiple assets being traded on decentralized platforms. So you're not limited just to Ethereum. You can do Ethereum and Bitcoin-based trading in a decentralized manner.
That's correct. I mean, what usually is missing in all of the current DEXs is that you cannot trade Bitcoin on them.
Yeah.
And, well, I'm not a maximalist, but almost everyone wants to trade Bitcoin.
Well, yeah, you don't need to be a maximalist. I mean, it's, the highest market cap coin. It's the most tested cryptocurrency. It's been through the most just because it's been here for 11 years, right? So it's, I think I'm on some days I'm a maximalist, on others
and this is one of them.
Can you tell? I know it's not orange, but it's close enough. No, if you don't offer Bitcoin and somebody else is going to be offering Bitcoin and similar solution, then you can have all the Verges and IOTAs in the world, but if you don't have Bitcoin, then you're missing out. So where are you guys right now in terms of actually building the platform? How's that going?
So we are now building the bridges, which means that we are building the protocol, which will allow to transfer tokens between one chain and another chain. That's basically based on something which is called decentralized custody. So you need to have a way to put your money into kind of decentralized bank, so it's there while some other token is released on the other platform, and no single actor can steal it.
So you're essentially you're doing like this decentralized escrow.
Yes,
right?
you could say
almost like that.
It's very. I mean, you could use that to make an escrow, and that's actually maybe a good.
I'm just trying, everything you say. I'm trying to put it in a way that I'll understand it better.
No, decentralized escrow is a good intuition, a good use case by itself, I think, and I will think about it.
And you guys were doing something cool, because I know I've been recently. You guys have some big news, because I've been essentially molesting Antoni here by ways of Facebook for the last like 2 or 3 months, ever since we found out that there was a problem with the first episode. And you were always like, no, give me another week, give me another 2 weeks, give me another 3 weeks. And I was like, come on, just like, dude, like, what are you waiting for?
It's Adam's fault. No,
Is it?
Not really, no.
Yeah, but I'm the more afraid one. We are waiting for final confirmations so we can actually
but
speak
we
up
also
about
had,
everything.
like Christmas and whatnot.
Yeah.
So
That's like 3
we
days.
also
Come
have
on
Christmas, right?
it's
now. Crypto Christmas.
Crypto Christmas.
So what's the big news?
Right,
What was the reveal that we were waiting for?
So as you know, we're building basically an ecosystem, and DEX is just one of the use cases that we're going after. And another one of them is, for a long time now, we've been thinking about branching out towards sustainability, environment, climate change, and the green area in general.
Because that's a lot of shit that crypto is
Yes.
taking, especially proof of work coins.
Yes.
Like that Bitcoin is consuming the same amount of energy as Iceland, if I remember correctly.
It's Hungary now. It's
Yes.
it's Hungary now.
Yeah.
Somebody's at
Soon it's
Hungary
going to be the
recently.
economic, European area.
Yeah. But Ethereum is the same way until they upgrade, at least.
Until
Right?
proof of stake. Yeah.
Yes. And, well, one of our benefits is that we basically consume very little amounts of energy, right, as the network. So, so the big reveal is that we're going to work on the carbon markets, and especially carbon registry, powered by Aleph, by the technology. And this is actually a very, very cool use case for blockchain, because you've got all those issues with transparency, with double counting. All the stuff that blockchain can solve as a basic technology can be applied to carbon markets and carbon trading.
Interesting.
And that's, I don't know if how well known the concept carbon trading is in general.
You can give a bit of a background, because I'm
I
new
can
to this.
I can speak from the blockchain economic perspective, because this concept by itself is very, very much very similar to what happens in DeFi, for example. So
and we'll get into DeFi in a bit.
I hope
just,
so.
to kind of throw it out there, so
Definitely
we don't forget.
hope so. So basically, the idea is to provide an incentivization to do environmentally friendly actions. So, for example, to grow forest in places where you can grow them cheaply, because it doesn't matter where you grow the forest, it helps the earth in the same way. Yeah. So, how to give this incentivization? Basically, you can create a token. So whenever someone is planting a forest anywhere in the world, then the forest is verified by some accredited verifiers, and then they verify that this company, this person, this individual can create a token or amount of tokens which is kind of proportional to the size of the forest, and this token then can be tradable, and then the twist is that a company which is not planting forests may want to offset their carbon footprint. So, for example, you can already do this with some flights. When you are buying a flight ticket, you can pay €1 more or something.
As an individual.
As an individual, of course, yeah. You can pay €1 more to offset your carbon credits, to offset your carbon footprint. What, like in ideal world, would happen to this $1? You would actually buy the token, which was created by the forest planter.
So you're almost like the dollar that you're willingly paying. I guess
Yes.
it's willingly paying.
It's voluntary.
So
yeah.
so you're essentially submitting yourself to a voluntary carbon tax. Kind
In
of.
a way.
In a way.
In a
Well,
way,
Tax
yeah.
is a very
In
bad
layman's
word here.
So whenever
it's a fuse.
yeah, but the issue is that actually whenever political leaders talk about carbon tax, the public is not happy about it.
Well, we don't even need to use the word carbon there whenever anyone uses tax.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But Justin Trudeau tried that in Canada. There was a slip in when he described the carbon situation, and he mistakenly spoke out about carbon tax, and
Massive outrage.
it was quite funny to watch actually.
I just came back from Dubai, and a friend of mine that lives there told me that Dubai recently, if I'm messing something up, anyone can correct me, but this is what I took away from it, so Dubai had zero taxes, and they recently, like a few years ago, they introduced a 5% tax, and there was like this massive exodus of people, like 1 to 1.5 million people just left their cars, left everything, and just left, like gone. Just 5% tax, like, which is nothing, like what we have, like 19, you know, so it's, excuse me, it's ridiculous. But that's kind of interesting. Taxes are funny.
Taxes are funny.
So let's avoid this word. It's a voluntary action which you can make to
It's a
make the planet
thingamajig.
better.
Yeah, but there is also a compliance and obligatory side to this. So one of the the main example of it is the European Trading Scheme, the ETS. Poland is in it. Most of the EU countries are in it. And essentially, this is whenever you place a limit of how much greenhouse gases a company can produce, right? And there was last year, I think December or November, something like that. There was a good example between Fiat and Tesla when Fiat bought 2 billion worth of carbon credits from Tesla to meet their, greenhouse gas emission standards. So this would be the compliance market. And voluntary market, I think, is also the one that can be treated as a B2C market. So Adam, you and myself, we can just make, conscious decisions whenever we go shopping or
Wow,
whatever.
so you guys have your hand in a lot of different pies right now.
We are trying to do good, basically.
Blockchain for good.
Blockchain for good.
So
yes.
no when moon, when Lambo? No?
That's the DEX part.
That's So is there like a timeline for the DEX, by the way, out of curiosity?
So we are not gonna drop the DEX out of nowhere. We are building bridges first. And the next step on our timeline is that we have our own protocol for threshold signature, which is basically the backbone of this custody I've been talking about. So this thing, I think we're gonna release the paper on that within 2 months.
Okay. But will you build the DEX, or are you kind of gonna build, like, you're gonna create the technology and you're going to be like, hey, if anybody wants to do this, like you can...
And earn lots of money, you can do
Well,
it with our code for free. Of course, yeah, that's the way we are.
No, but you know what? Why I'm asking is because like DEX it's such a hot topic because of let's call it what it is. There's a regulatory clusterfuck when it comes to DEXs. Like the Ether Delta CEO, he was like half a year ago, he was detained in the US.
So right. I would take a step back, and basically our process for Aleph and for DEX will be the same. So we start with scientific research, which I know very little about, but hence Adam and his team.
Okay.
And we publish a paper. Then we try our best to get it peer-reviewed, which is what happened to Aleph Zero. And with Common, which is our current name for the DEX, I think we're just going to repeat the process. So once you have the research done and approved and reviewed, then we commence the development. But with DEX, it's going to be a massive project, and we're not going to be able to we even don't want to do it ourselves because it doesn't make any sense, to be honest.
It's a large scale project, definitely. But you do want to be part of creating the DEX, so probably with an investor or some additional team, or
most likely, yeah. But the entire idea of DeFi, whenever we speak about open and transparent finances, this is
let's talk DeFi. Give us the background on DeFi. So DeFi, decentralized finance.
Yes.
Why is it cool? Why should people care?
Why
Because
is it
it's
cool?
like the hot subject in crypto and blockchain for the last. I would say 2020 is the year of DeFi, and 2019 was kind of like building up to DeFi because like not that many people were talking about it. People heard of it, but it wasn't as big as. And I think 2020 it's going to be, everyone's going to be screaming DeFi.
I would say that in 2020, the DeFi will be still in a very preliminary stage. I mean, we can
Still further ahead than the STO market, I would say.
Okay, but probably during this talk we'll get into the attacks which happened just a few days ago.
Yeah.
And this is like the best example of why this is still a experimental phase and why we still don't know exactly how it's gonna look like when it's gonna be fully operating.
Sure, but let's give the background on DeFi. Exactly. So DeFi, decentralized finance. Give a bit of a background to the listeners.
Open, transparent, inclusive, and safe. Once it's done, it's like in its infancy. So whenever we talk about DeFi being the not secure version of centralized finance or finance in general, I think it's way too early to tell, because it's like saying that internet is a bad idea because of spam email.
Yeah, or in 1996 saying, well, I can't stream 4K video on my modem.
For example.
So DeFi, we're taking basically, we're bridging the gap that we had with traditional finance, with centralized finance, and we're putting it on blockchains. We're doing things in a decentralized manner, hopefully making it a bit more inclusive than the archaic system that we're trying to grow out of.
So you can, I think, say even stronger that, making any other finance with decentralized assets doesn't make any sense. I mean, you lose the whole concept of decentralization. Why would you have decentralized asset at the first place if you would like to trade it in a centralized manner?
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. And that's why I think we're going to see a lot of consolidation in terms of centralized exchanges, whether they're trading securities or commodities or tokens that are, we don't really know what they are because we don't have the regulatory framework to decide what they are. But it's a good point. You have just January 3rd, you had the what's it called? It was the not your keys, not your coin. It was the Bitcoin maximalists. They had this.
I've been hearing that for years.
Yeah, but January 3rd is this day. I forget what it's called, but it's basically everyone that has Bitcoin, it's this global movement where you take all of your Bitcoin onto a wallet for January 3rd that you control. So there's no, it's just like this, movement.
Bitcoin ownership day.
Yeah. It's something like that. It's like private key ownership day. It's something along those lines.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's and there's like there's this formula that you're supposed to put under your Twitter handle, and it's like the emoji for a key, like movement, like an arrow, and then the Bitcoin symbol, and it's like this whole thing. So it's actually really interesting because it's a good point. We have decentralized assets where the majority of people are keeping them on exchanges, and a lot of them are really not secure exchanges, right?
And even the ones which do keep them on their own wallets, whenever they want to do anything with them, they need to go to either Decentralized Exchange or some other centralized...
or a sketchy back alley. Please take my Bitcoin, sir.
In any case, there's a single point of failure. So.
Yes.
Even in the alley.
Yeah. Yeah. So we were gonna talk about DeFi and what's been going on the DeFi market, but kind of talking about the let's call it the TMZ version of DeFi, because there's been a lot of shit going on in the interwebs about DeFi, about people that have been in crypto for a while and them talking shit about DeFi. So you guys want to start with IOTA, or you want to start with Charlie Lee? What do you guys want to do?
The Charlie Lee tweet is a way deeper topic for me. So I think it's much better topic for a discussion.
Let's start with Charlie Lee. All right, guys. So Charlie Lee is the creator of Litecoin. And if you know Bitcoin, you should know Litecoin. So Litecoin, I think their unofficial motto was that they're the silver to Bitcoin's gold, right? Not a fan of Litecoin. I like Charlie Lee. I've met him a few times. I think he's great, but I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of Litecoin just because I don't really see the use case, right? Like it's another payment coin. And if you have Bitcoin, do you need Litecoin? Let's be honest.
You're being maximalist again.
Yeah, that's a
Slight
good point.
reminder.
That's a
Okay,
good point.
how about this? So I can't be maximalistic if I say, do I need Litecoin if I have Nano? All right, so I'm on Blockonomy, and the header is Litecoin's Charlie Lee casts doubt on Ethereum-based DeFi after recent attack. Attack is in quotation marks. So we have, it starts with a Coinbase tweet, and the Coinbase tweet actually says, DeFi or decentralized finance is an essential part of an open financial system. DeFi tools are censorship-resistant, unbiased, programmable, and available to anyone with a smartphone. For this hackathon, we're focusing on bringing DeFi to the world. So I think this Coinbase tweet kind of started everything. This was January 10th, 2019. And then some bad stuff happened in the world of DeFi, and I'm gonna take Adam's gonna take this in a sec, and I'm just gonna read the Charlie Lee tweet. So some shit went down in the world of DeFi. There was a hack, there was some flash loans, blah, blah, blah. We'll get into it. But Charlie Lee's response was, this is why I don't believe in DeFi. It's the worst of both worlds. Most DeFi can be shut down by a centralized party, so it's just decentralization theater. And yet no one can undo a hack or exploit unless we add more centralization. So how is this better than what we have now? Adam.
Currently, it's not. That's my answer.
But why was Charlie Lee? What's his beef? What happened in the world of DeFi that pissed him off so much?
Okay, so I really like a lot of people are using the word attack and hacker over the internet. Like everyone, like when you Google flash loan, the first thing which you'll get it's attack, hack. I'm not sure.
But the person just gamed the system. Essentially, it wasn't really.
The person traded in a very smart way and earned some money by this trading.
$360,000. Is that
yes,
correct?
yes,
More or
that's
less.
what was during one of the attacks, and the other I think it was even more. It was 600, but yeah. So in total, I think it's much more. And yeah, someone gamed the system, and this person gamed the system by trading. By putting orders and
they essentially shorted. They took out a loan by collateralizing Ethereum and shorting ETH, essentially, right?
The problem was that there is this BZX which offered shorting Bitcoin, so you could short Bitcoin and then influence the price of Bitcoin and then win, of course, a lot of money on this short, and you could do that in a single transaction. So that's absolutely game breaking. I mean, this financial instrument doesn't make any sense in the Ethereum world. I mean, the short which you can execute within one transaction to put and execute, that's just a really badly designed financial instrument. And well, if you put badly designed financial instrument on the market, you're gonna lose money most probably, right?
Yeah, someone is.
Well, yeah. So like the hack. For me, the analogy is like if let's say you want to sell your car on eBay, and like you misclicked and you put the price for $10, and actually I'm buying this car.
Yeah.
So you now saying,
but there's just no going back.
Am I a hacker?
Right? Yeah.
Am I a hacker? Did I hack you?
It's like the meme, hacker man.
Yeah, I mean,
it's when my parents asked me to restart the router, right? Hacker man.
Yes, exactly.
It's like more or less something like that. Yeah, just the problem is that if you, in the traditional world, if you put out your car for $10 and somebody calls you and says like, hey man, I want to buy this car for $10, you're like, oh shit, my bad. It's not $10, it's $15,000.
Probably depends on the platform.
Yeah, but if the platform's policy, for example,
exactly, that's what I'm getting to.
That,
exactly.
You can buy this for the price that's listed. There is no going back.
Exactly.
So
it's like sending your, you have 10 Bitcoin, you mess up your the address and you send it, not to 3xz1, but to 3xz4, and it's gone. You're not going to contact any bank and say like, hey guys, I messed up the transaction, right? And that's one of the main issues people have with crypto, because no one's holding their hand, no one has their back. Because even if you mess up a bank transaction, like there's always a chance that your bank can revert something and help you out, right?
Sure.
There is this trade-off between this safety in the way that you can get back and automatization. I mean, you cannot have automatization with with too much rollbacks.
That's very, very well put. Exactly.
And automatization is like, maybe it's not all what the DeFi is about, but it's a lot of what the general blockchains are about. It's programmable money, where you can automatize some actions. So yes, it comes at a cost, and the cost is that sometimes there is no going back.
Yeah. I mean, it's otherwise we're just gonna have, like the last 100 years, we're gonna have tellers in the bank and doing everything by hand, and like that's not the point. That's not where everything is going, right? Obviously, there's going to be some growing pains, like the the flash crash, the hacker man showed. But like, so where do we go from here? Like, it's is this an issue? And let's say, I'm going to say issue in quotation marks, that's going to be persistent in the DeFi world, or is this something that is easily fixable? By your professional opinion, since you guys are the DeFi guys?
I think the problem is very deep, actually. It's
very
deep rooted in the Ethereum structure. So I made up a metaphor for this, actually. So imagine that you are trading on a normal market and you have a magical button. And whenever you click this button, all the world stops and you can execute as many trades as you want. And like, no one can react. You buy something, then you influence some price, then you sell something, you short something, you buy something more, you end this short position, and
you're just then playing against yourself.
Then you unclick the button and everything executes. And what's even more, if at the end you see that you actually lost your money, you can rewind to the beginning. So that's how it works at Ethereum. And now imagine everyone has this button. So of course, it's a very different game than normal markets. And I don't think we actually understand this game right now. We are people are just copying the financial instruments which made sense on the normal markets and which are popular on the normal markets. So that's, of course, the first thought that, so it was good there, so maybe it's going to be good here. And yes, there are some mistakes.
Because that's our point of reference, right? Like
the
our
only
point of reference.
The only one.
That's some of the issue with Bitcoin is whenever we, I think Andreas Antonopoulos said this, that like one of the worst fuck-ups is calling Bitcoin, like places where you store your Bitcoin keys, calling them wallets because because of our point of reference. And he I think he was a proponent of calling them keychains or something along those lines, because it's that that's more how they work. And like if our point of reference is traditional paper money, and then translating all of that nomenclature onto crypto, like it creates problems, because now when you're so you have this wallet, but it's not a wallet, it's you have your keys and you have your private key, and it's like, and you can send money,
but at the same time we talk about mass adoption, and whenever you tell people that they don't have wallets anymore, they have keychains,
keys, a wallet, and
I mean, mass adoption that's one of the hot topics we discuss here, and
for
everyone has a different.
I would say that naming conventions is not a roadblock. I mean, let's call it whatever. I mean,
usability is the roadblock. Like, name it, call it. You can have a name for whatever. It doesn't really matter. People are going to get used to calling something, ABC or XYZ. It doesn't matter. But just the interface, the UX, the UI, ease of use, like those are the roadblocks.
I think that whenever blockchain is as a word is no longer thrown around, that's where we're going to have mass adoption.
Yeah. Like once we start calling things money and not Bitcoin, blockchain, crypto, and fiat, like no one was before crypto, no one was saying fiat.
Yeah, I learned
that's true.
I learned this word after learning Bitcoin.
Exactly, because that's how no one said fiat, because now you have fiat because everything was fiat. If you didn't have some diamond or something, and then you called it diamond,
but it's
money, and you had
with I don't know, vaping. You've got electronic cigarettes and analog cigarettes, apparently.
Analog cigarettes. That sounds like a hipster thing. Damn it, I smoke analog cigarettes.
Yeah, with a mustache.
Yeah, exactly. The hipster twirl. So, DeFi, the roadblock is right now, this problem, as you said, isn't really fixable. Not easily.
I'm not sure that is a problem. That's not what I didn't say that we have a problem which is not fixable. I'm saying that this is a very different game from the games we used to play before on normal markets.
Do you think that this will reverberate for the next few years, and we're going to see many more
This attacks,
things, attacks?
yeah, attacks, perhaps
Exploits. Let's call it an
exploits, yeah.
exploit.
It was an exploit.
Yeah.
And I think people will be more wary when putting new financial instruments on the market, and that's definitely gonna be
Because
one
this
of
is essentially like not to overly simplify it, but this happened something similar, and let's call it an exploit on centralized exchanges and dealing with traditional cryptocurrencies, where you had someone just messed up, nothing else. They just messed up and they sold a Bitcoin for $10 or $100 just because they messed up their zeros or decimal points, right? And then Adam comes along, he's like, ooh, buy, right? Because if it's peer-to-peer, then, some issues will arise. So this is essentially something similar. It's just...
Also, I would like to point out that gaming the system is it's not specific to blockchains. I mean, there's a lot of ways of gaming the system in normal markets.
Look at, the 2008, financial crisis.
For example.
It's nothing else than a
like
speculative
anything,
game.
any crisis, any event on normal any market.
Yeah.
To be honest, so it's not.
Okay, so markets have some problems. That's normal. And this is
Charlie Lee, are you listening? Markets have issues. This is normal.
I thought about this attacks, but you could see this as elaborated arbitrage. Like a trading bot could actually perform this attack. It's not what happened, most probably. I mean, there are no such bots yet. But elaborated trading bot could place such transaction. So who is the hacker then? And that's just how the game works.
Yeah. So what do you think about? Is this stuck out in my mind? This part. Most DeFi can be shut down by a centralized party, so it's decentralization theater.
But
it's
basically,
not DeFi,
right? So I think that what Charlie means and is that can truly decentralized finance actually happen? Is that possible? Say
and
5-10 years down the line.
Decentralized finance because we can have this argument about Bitcoin. Is Bitcoin truly decentralized
Right,
if 80% of the hash rate is from one province?
And we can argue whether something can be decentralized fully, partially, or what does that even mean?
It's not binary. I mean, it's not like there is things which are decentralized and things which are not. You can be decentralized up to some degree. Bitcoin is much more decentralized than normal bank. And I think right now, most people, any finance which happens on Ethereum is DeFi, basically.
Shouldn't it be called semi-centralized then?
Everything could be called semi-centralized. I don't know.
Centralized 0.5. So what do you make of this point of there being a single point of failure that's centralized in DeFi?
No, it's not the DeFi. I mean, I think we need DeFi, the decentralized DeFi.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah,
so it's something, if I'm understanding you correctly, it's something that just takes time, right? Because Bitcoin wasn't decentralized. If you have two nodes running in, circa 2009, then it's very difficult to call it a decentralized system, right?
We're not there yet. I mean, most of these things which people want to do in this finance world are very complex processes with many, many steps. So we are decentralizing one step after another. And as long as there is at least one centralized step, there will be possibility of just shutting it down. So, eventually, I believe we're gonna decentralize them all, and there will be no guy who can shut IOTA or I don't know.
Okay, let's talk about IOTA now.
Yes,
some issues. IOTA attack.
Coordinator attack. That's not a good thing to have a coordinator.
And not an exploit.
Yes.
So no quotation marks there. It was an actual attack. IOTA got shut down. No IOTA, myota.
Correct.
Again.
This is one of such situations. So, first of all, IOTA never claimed to be fully decentralized. That was public knowledge that they are currently on the stage where they need a coordinator.
And they were honest from the start.
Yeah, that's very
Talk more about this coordinator. So what is a coordinator? What's up with that coordinator?
It's a single point of failure. It's one server owned by IOTA foundations, I suppose. And it's validating all transactions on their not the chain, on their Tango. So all the transactions were centrally validated. And
So exactly what Charlie Lee has issue with.
yes, and I don't have any issue with it. It's a normal, but it's a phase. And sometimes it's easier to build some things with such phase where you can actually shut things down when they go rogue. And that's exactly what happened. So there was a big plan there is still a big plan, which is called Decide, to kill the coordinator and make it fully decentralized. And somewhere along the lines, I'm not sure. I don't think it's public right now whether this attack was connected to the Decide project or not. So recently, someone attacked. I think the exploit was on IOTA wallets. So sometimes someone used this exploit, and IOTA Foundation decided to shut the whole network down.
But there's not a lot of information coming out of IOTA what's going on right now, and it's been a hot minute.
I don't think I agree. They established page statusiota.com, I think, or something like that, and daily or even more often they publish new info. Of course, I mean there are no news
but we
every day.
still don't know exactly what happened. Is my issue?
You know, I'm not sure whether we know or not, but I'm sure they're gonna share it because it's like we would do that if that were to happen. Sure.
Yeah,
I think
we would do that, but it's I don't know. I think we're expecting a bit too much.
What they already shared is that most probably, or maybe it's already certain, that the issue was with the Trinity wallet. That's the official wallet, and they are working as hard as they can to fix it, I suppose.
And we talked about this before we started recording, and I want to touch upon this point, is that there's so much shit in the crypto community, and I think that what happened with IOTA is something similar that happened with a lot of different projects. And my issue is that a lot of the time, people that are holders of a certain crypto, they tend to forget or sweep something under the rug. Like there's 51% attacks, right? And it's like, it doesn't matter. It's okay. It's like, that's like, if you have your own chain, a 51% attack is like one of the most like horrible things that can happen to your own crypto or to your own blockchain. And it's like, ETC had a 51% attack. Vertcoin had a 51% attack. Verge had a 51% attack.
But it's not their fault. In none of these examples is their fault. I mean, does not mean that their tech was subpar to the others. It just means that it was not popular enough to mine, and someone with enough power attacked
it. Shows that one bad player can really take over a chain.
Yes, and it can. One bad player can take over any small chain. So I don't think that people should bash this project.
But do you think that it shows that maybe there just isn't really room for these smaller market cap coins?
So,
and when I say market cap, I mean, I'm not talking about, like, obviously I'm translating it to tech. I don't mean it's just the market cap, but it's, maybe some stuff outside of the top 50 is
so I think there are
highly endangered.
Two things at play here. And first one is I wouldn't, bash the communities for backing their project after something went wrong, because this is actually good for the community that they keep supporting it.
Yes and no, I would say. Only because I'm okay with you still being a fan or a holder or whatever of a certain project, but you can't disregard what happened.
Sure, but being aware of it.
If you're suffering numerous 51% attacks and your focus isn't what can we do to improve this? What can we, like, should we maybe support the developers more, set up another dev fund, right?
Yeah.
And if your only thing is, no, it doesn't matter, to the moon when Lambo, then which is the case in a lot of these projects.
Actionism is the case. So you've got an engaged community that can actually, help you to get where you're going. And if you make a mistake along the way, that's fine. Everybody makes those. 51% is kind of different because it's like a kind of, what's all that stuff about. But going to your next thing, which is there a room for coins outside of the top 50? So I think this goes back to whether looking 5-10 years ahead, we're going to have 2 or 3 major platforms on the market? Or is there room for highly specialized blockchains for an industry, a use case, and so on and so forth?
Because like right now, it's a lot more secure to have a token on the Ethereum platform rather than have a small blockchain like a Vertcoin or a
Indeed, but
something.
it's very hard to add some new feature by only creating new tokens on Ethereum.
you're I mean, it's, whenever. So in the tech world, whether you, like, if you have your own product, right, you're creating your own product, and every time that the more third-party solutions you need to rely on, the bigger the chance that something can, mess up. Like if you're using outside servers, for example, then, you're obviously a bit more limited than if you self-hosted everything, I think would be the analogy there. But one thing I wanted to quickly just throw in here is something that I really like, speaking of communities. What I see a trend on the Reddit community in Nano is whenever someone starts like talking price prediction, they get downvoted, which is one of the few communities I see on Reddit where, because obviously it's like, what do you think it's going to be? Oh, I think Bitcoin's going to be $250,000, upvote. And someone said like, some guy said, I think it's going to be something between 5 and 20. And everyone just like downvoted them. I think it was amazing. I think it shows that, there's some communities out there that they're not just in it for, let's talk price, like, let's just talk speculation and maybe one day we're going to be millionaires.
Sure. Yeah.
Because that doesn't lead to anything, right?
Well,
like just
because you've got
talk.
on one hand, you've got, trading, and on the other hand, you've got the infrastructure.
Yeah.
And, the longer we're in this, the clearer the division becomes. So I think we're more on the infrastructure side, at least with the project.
That's
right?
good. No, that's good. The more projects like this get created, and the less we talk about just, the speculatory aspect of crypto, the better. Because that's one of the issues we had in 2017 with that last bubble is there's just so much speculation going on,
Yeah, but every market suffers from that at some point.
Of course. It's just
Real
everything moves
estate.
so much faster in crypto that I see a lot of people saying, like, it's just a bubble cycle after a bubble cycle, right?
Yeah, but
I mean, that's not my opinion. That's just,
Sure.
what people from the outside looking in are saying.
sure.
Speaking
sure.
of bubble cycles, I have a feeling ICOs are making a comeback.
Really?
Yeah.
So last I heard is that IPOs are making their way into the crypto world.
I'll believe it when I see it. I think IPOs in the crypto world is going to be the same as STOs. I think it's still a long ways away.
Right.
Everything, you know what? In crypto, everything that happens organically where we don't have time to sit down and discuss it, in crypto, it just happens, right? And that was my first issue with STOs. Everyone was talking about STOs and no one was really doing STOs. And that was 2017, because it was right about the hype of the ICO bubble. And everyone's like, what's this next thing's going to be awesome? It's going to be STOs. And then 2018, it's like, it's the year of STOs. And then 2019, no, like this is going to be the year of STOs.
IEOs as well.
But they never took off as well. And that's another thing is everyone was talking like, what? I think IOs are going to be a big thing. But IOs never really took off.
It's just another form of ICO, really, with a centralized party.
And with decreased lack in transparency.
Yes. But, ICO as a method of raising capital, this is just basically crowdfunding.
Yeah.
So it works. It's cool. You just need
I agree.
a bit more regulation and transparency on this. And there's nothing wrong with it.
And you have jurisdictions like Malta and Gibraltar that are on the forefront of actually trying to do something with
And
this.
Switzerland.
In ICOs?
Yeah, well,
Nice.
since the beginning, I guess.
I thought something changed in Switzerland recently. Maybe I'm wrong. But no, like the more jurisdictions we have like that, the better. I know one of the chairmen of the SEC recently said, I might be butchering this, but they said something along the lines of they proposed. It's nothing is set in stone. They just proposed something that give all of these crowdfunding projects like ICOs, give them like this 3-year leniency period where they can almost self-regulate to the whole, how we test security issue. So you can raise capital, and if you have any issues internally, you can kind of, you have 3 years of a running start to get regulated. And like, I think that would be huge if the US is saying that, the SEC, which is by far the most stringent regulatory body, that, you see the SEC like going after everyone, right? From EOS to smaller projects. So,
but I think, the entire industry learned that you cannot get there by working against the regulators and everybody else. It's working with them on a solution that works for everybody else and is safe for every participant. So that's what changed over the last 3 years.
They just work a bit slowly, the regulators.
And that's not going to change, probably.
Yeah, and that's why I think ICOs are coming back, is because we see what's going on the market, and we can just check right now. Bitcoin, $10,150. You have Ethereum for $280. And the moment we have $500 ETH, I think it's going to be, we're just going to rewind back to 2017. Like I really believe that. Because it's just, there's going to be too much hype. There's just going to be too much money to be made.
Yeah.
I'm a bit afraid of it. I mean, during this last bull run and the last bubble, where like the ICO hype led to a lot of really bad projects which were like absurdly funded.
Well, like they were essentially glorified white papers with no tech.
Yeah.
You put out a white paper and you're like, hey, I want $1,500,000 USD. Like, and it's like, all right, cool. Here.
And the logo that you bought for $5 on Fiverr.
Yeah.
So actually, after a drop, there was this period after the bubble where ICOs were still pretty popular, but there was like 4 times less of them, and most of them actually made some sense.
Yeah, I mean, if a project is good, I know of a really good ICO in mid 2019 that raised $18 million through Malta. And, e-commerce, supply chain, stuff like that in the cannabis business. And, is it possible? Yeah, it's possible if your shit is good. But if you're just another ERC20 token that's just like, we're a payment solution? Like, no, you're not. Like you want to be, but you're not. Like, come on. You know how many like landing pages on white papers I see that get sent to me in CoinDeal, and they're like, we're ERC20, but we're better than Bitcoin. I'm like, no. Like, how does your mind work? Tell me, why are you better than Bitcoin? Because your marketing department told you are? Like, come on.
It's the better shade of orange.
Yeah, it's Bitcoin Cash tilts this way, the logo. Bitcoin tilts this way, and we're fully,
it's like just more aligned.
Yeah, RB is horizontal, and it's blue. Like, give me a fucking break, Jesus Christ! It's just, there's so much bullshit. But the bullshit will come back. Whenever there's like strong market sentiment, like I think a lot of the bullshit will come back. And the only reason, so I have a bit of a mixed bag of emotions here, is because I think there's a lot of awesome projects that they didn't do an ICO because they saw the market, go down in 2018, 2019, and they could have raised money, but maybe it would just be a lot more difficult in the current market climate. And I think I'm actually kind of excited if ICOs come back, because I think there's going to be a lot of amazing projects that will be able to capitalize on this. But of course, as you say,
the ones which are already working for the last 2 years. And,
exactly.
I really hope for it.
Yeah, but then of course, once we're going to be like right at the height of the hype cycle, then we're going to get all the bullshit again. Then we're going to get the trons.
So people don't get smarter. That's what you mean.
No, of course not. Like,
no, but it's an opportunity for like as any other. You know that this is gonna happen, and you do it anyway, to some extent.
Expand on that.
Right. So the hype cycle for AI, for blockchain, for
machine
virtual
learning, that was a big thing in the past years.
And whenever you take a look at Gartner's analysis of that, it's always the same line, right?
Yeah.
And usually for every industry, it's very similar, and people do it and do it and do it over and over again. Just the industry is different, and not the actual hype cycle.
So you don't think it's going to be ICOs? You think it's going to be?
I've got no idea. Really, I just don't bet on that, and keep doing our work.
No, that's good. I mean, no, like of course, like I don't mean, by no means am I saying that, oh, the ICOs are coming back,
Sure.
so everyone here, let's do 4 ICOs each, right? Like that's not what I mean. But I do think that if a project is good and they have good fundamentals, and it's not like what we talked about outside, that it's not 2 guys working out of a garage writing a white paper and they don't even have an MVP, right? Then it's, I'm talking about real companies trying to tokenize something specific or adding a token,
adding
or
value, revenue, and
exactly.
And that's
like I would hope that if ICOs come back, they're going to come back in a form where it's going to be big players, or maybe even not even big players, but it's going to be established companies trying to supplement their activities through tokenization or adding some
fund their
component of
research departments, innovation labs, and so on and so forth. So, so if you're an established company and you want to launch an R&D division, right, you can get funding for that separately through an ICO, and that would be the proper way of achieving
that. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Like, I think that would be amazing. But, it's going to probably end up being...
Exit scams.
Scamcoin 2000. Please buy. For 1 million Doge. All right, guys. Do we have anything else we wanted to talk about? We talked about IOTA. We talked about Charlie Lee. You got some tweets?
I
got some mean tweets?
I can dig them up. Yeah.
Yeah, let's get some mean
Flash
tweets.
loans is a good idea. What do you think about flash loans?
Flash loans. Flash loan. No, flash loans.
Flash loan. You know what I've been messing around with recently, speaking of loans? I've been testing out the Celsius app.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to see how it works.
And how it works?
It's essentially what we talked about. Is you deposit crypto and you earn interest, but it's essentially you deposit crypto and your crypto is being lent essentially to funds who want to short crypto.
Okay.
So it's like, the reason I know it's not a scam is because it doesn't pay that much. If it would pay too much, I would be very, very worried. I think I've made around $15 in the past 2 months.
Which is translated to percent.
On like $2,500 deposit.
Okay, and it doesn't pay much.
No, it's like I'm just messing around with it. They have a really interesting. I like how their loyalty program is broken down. It's with their own internal token, with the Celsius token, and it's pretty cool. You have it's done on a ratio basis, so you have less than 5% of your ratio of the coins you hold to the Celsius token, then you get this much, interest, and then over 10% ratio of Celsius tokens to the other coins, it's like this much, and it's like up to 20. So it's interesting.
Flash loans.
No flash loans, no flashlights.
This is illegal, I think. Flash loans.
Okay. Flash loans, yeah.
Flashlights are legal.
I think it's like a synonym for slavery. Flesh loans
or body leasing, right?
All right, let's hit it up.
So for me, this is like a whole new idea. It creates a lot of new opportunities. So basically,
give people a background.
Okay, so
what is a flash loan?
The idea is that without much of your own capital, you can lend as much money as you want, basically. Like you can with
margin lending.
Yeah, you can lend $2 million. What actually happened during this attacks also, but it's not because of flash loans.
But you need some collateral.
But a very, very little. And I think in this case, it could go without collateral. And the thing is that you are lending $2 million, and then you are doing some transactions. And in the last transaction of the sequence, you need to give it back. And it relates to this story with a button. So basically, you do all these things within one transaction. So either all of these things are executed or none of them.
So it's atomic.
It's atomic.
It's either it happens all at once or it doesn't happen at all.
Yes. So you get your $2 million for 1 second. And if you do something good with it, meaning that you end up with at least $2 million to give it back, when it's executed.
I just imagine the scenario where you have $2 million for 1 second. It's like, yeah,
that's exactly. But that's exactly what happens. You need to have a very, very well thought plan. What can you do with $2 million within 1 second?
I should not be using this button at all.
So don't look at me. I'm not gonna use it. as well.
I don't know,
it's
man.
an
You look
M-
kind of sketchy. You look like you can do a lot with $2 million in 1 second.
Everyone can do a lot with $2 million in 1 second.
I don't know about that, man.
You'd buy a car.
Me?
Yeah.
I'll buy Bitcoin.
Right.
All right, what you got on the Magic iPad?
Well,
Aleph
the
Zero
Magic iPad. So we were basically just, with Adam, we were looking at the discussion associated with the Charlie Lee tweet. And it's your usual thing. You've got one guy saying that Fulcrum and this entire idea is, quote, at least it's not as useless as Litecoin, end quote.
Oh, shit.
Which I don't agree with, but
I used to have some Litecoin. I don't anymore.
I still have a bit of Litecoin.
That's how we met. You were buying
That's how
Litecoin.
we met, actually.
You met in a back alley. He was selling you Litecoin.
On a party, and he was buying Litecoin on his cell phone.
Yes.
And,
He was trying to impress all the girls. Like, yeah, I'm in crypto. I'm using my Coinbase app to buy some Litecoin. And that's how you met Adam. So no, you didn't pick up any girls.
No,
No.
no, not through Litecoin.
But you don't
anyway.
agree with it, like, but I actually agree to some extent. Like, okay, I'm not saying Litecoin is useless because it's a huge market cap coin, right?
Yeah.
But like, okay, if anyone wants to convince me, like, you can please write me, tweet me. But like, I don't see the use for Litecoin in the long run. I don't. If everything that's planned for every Bitcoin upgrade goes through that's planned, then you don't really need it. Or you have zero fee instant transaction
Sure.
alternatives like again, I'll say like Nano that it's not just like it's Litecoin is copy pasta from Bitcoin
copy pasta.
from Bitcoin with like let's just it's like that meme that, hey, can I copy your homework? Yeah, just change it a bit so the teacher doesn't know. And that's what Litecoin is. It copied Bitcoin's homework and just change the block time, change the total supply, and done.
I think they changed the hashing function as well.
Oh,
But,
yeah, okay. So it's a different,
there is some
it's a
some
different,
ideology behind it. So the
very
ASICs, the ASICs are not that easy to build for Litecoin. But generally I agree. They are running for exactly the same use cases.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
They are,
Sure.
By 20 times smaller market cap and
There's a lot of
adoption.
people bashing Litecoin in here.
I'm not surprised. Read some more. I want to hear it.
No, because it's gonna be taken out of context.
No.
I'm kidding.
Have you watched CNN?
Have you watched Fox News?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
It's better. You can't find better entertainment than Fox News. I'm
That's-
serious. Like
that's
some
actually
of the
true.
funniest
That's
things
actually
that,
true.
like, dude, John Oliver has a show that's
love
been
the
on
guy.
for
I
6-7
love the
years, and like 50% of it is like Fox News clips.
Yeah,
It's great entertainment. You just add some commentary and a
Yep.
British guy, and you have a hit show.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get some tweets.
All right, let's look for them.
We're so prepared.
We're so
We're
100%.
so fucking prepared.
Again, quote, it's more useful than your useless Litecoin. End quote.
Did anyone say actually something constructive, or is it just
Yeah.
bashing?
there is a quote from Elon Musk.
Really?
You should be failing. That's the quote from Elon Musk.
Wow, he doesn't have a lot of time for elaborate responses.
So mostly, mostly it's about DeFi being in early stage,
Which it is.
which it is, which we talked about. Mostly it's about Litecoin and not having the proper use case for that.
I remember what comes to mind apropos of Litecoin is there's this story of Jeremy Gardner. So Jeremy, he's the creator of Augur, and he has some he's been in Bitcoin for a long time, like since the beginning. Essentially, he's done a lot of cool stuff. He's a very, very positive figure in the crypto community, and he has this anecdote of being at a pretty early Bitcoin meetup at, I think it was at MIT, and it just so ended up that Jeremy and Charlie Lee were both at the urinal at the same time. And, I think they've both had like a few beers. And this is post Litecoin Charlie Lee, right?
Mhm.
And, they've had like 2 or 3 beers. And Jeremy's very direct. And he said, like, Charlie, like, I got to ask you, like, well, like, what the fuck is up with Litecoin? And his response was something along the lines of like, I don't know. Dude, I don't know. Which, even if half of it is true, it's pretty entertaining.
It's a nice anecdote, yeah.
So, it's... And the other thing is, Charlie selling all of his Litecoin. That's a pretty big, factor. Like, what was it, 2018? So it's hard to take things like that he says seriously, since his calling card, his magnum opus is Litecoin. That's his crypto creation, and he's not... Everything that he says right now is going to be looked at through the context of Litecoin and the development of Litecoin. So him coming out against DeFi, which is, as you mentioned, it's early stage, but the potential is huge.
I think the only good thing about Litecoin was that it was early. I mean, it started early.
Yeah.
That's why it's hard.
First mover advantage. Essentially, you had Bitcoin, and then you had some other. You had like Mastercoin. I remember
Mastercoin.
Yeah, like if I'm correct, like Mastercoin was like the first ICO, if I remember correctly. It was like 2012. Maybe we can look that up later. So, but it was like, pre-Ether. And you have Litecoin since when? 2012, 2014? 2014?
I'm not good at
2014.
history.
I think 2014. So, like, how many projects did you have? Like, look at CoinMarketCap from 6-7 years ago. Look how many projects there were. You had MadeSafe, which was a top 10 project back then.
Well, technologically, MadeSafe is very interesting.
It is. It's very
it's
true. Yeah.
The Safe Network.
The name, I think they are changing to Safe Network, but MadeSafe was like...
Oh, man, I can tell you a worse name. Are you ready for this? Gruselcoin.
What?
Gruselcoin?
Because it's...
What is this?
It's also... It's like a payment thing. They have their own blockchain, and it's... the whole thing was like subatomic fees.
Okay.
And... if I remember correctly, it has to do with the fact that Grusel, or probably if someone has a better German or Austrian accent, it was like Grusel, is like, it's the word for hash. So it's essentially hash coin.
Okay.
But yeah, Grusel coin, man. Like, really interesting project. One of the worst names in the game.
But serious. Like a serious... Anything in German is...
Grusel coin. Like, what are the worst names in crypto?
What are the worst names in crypto?
I don't like the names which have Bitcoin inside, like Bitcoin Gold, for example.
Oh, so all the forks.
Yeah, that's like
Bitcoin Cash.
It's not like I don't like Bitcoin Cash, but I don't like the name.
No, but there's like so many. Like that's another thing about adoption is like, okay, Bitcoin, Litecoin, great name by the way, Litecoin. That's a good name. But like Ethereum, you have these top tier projects, and then you have, as I mentioned, Gruselcoin or Vertcoin. Like, what the fuck is a Vert?
Vert?
Vert. VERT.
Have you been skating in your life?
I have, but I don't think that's, I don't think that has anything to do with what they're trying to do.
But they could.
I mean, you've got like 2,000 projects on CoinMarketCap. When like you want to come up with a name which is not yet used, I mean, you need to be creative.
Yeah,
so like today we put in green on CoinMarketCap because we were wondering how many green coins are there.
Like
probably
8.
Yeah, probably like a bunch.
And you've got green power, green coin, green gold, green
gold
something.
Green gold.
That's a cannabis project. Like, that's a cannabis
Fair
project.
Point. But like, naming is definitely not one of the...
Gruselcoin is up. Holy shit.
Gruselcoin.
Moeda loyalty points.
What?
Moeda loyalty points.
What's
Cyber miles.
Moeda.
Cyber miles. We have a winner. HPB. High performance blockchain. Like, that's just like a bunch of marketing people sitting down in a room. It's blockchain is high performance. It's
not marketing people, tech people.
Nah, dude. This is like really bad, like Fiverr marketing people.
There are these quantum things and quant coins.
Post-quantum.
We power.
Post-quantum.
Matrix AI network. All right, well, this is like a deep dive. We could probably do this for hours. I just got like so interested in these names.
WePower sounds actually like a WeWork spinoff
It sounds or like WeChat.
or WeChat.
Yeah, WeChat. All right, I think we're gonna wrap this up. I think we exploited everything to the T.
Yeah,
Sure,
it's
we're gonna
turning
leave.
to-
We're gonna leave Charlie Lee alone. I think he's gonna get a lot of shit for what he said. I think he already feels bad. Poor Charlie.
Hey, you still gotta respect the guy.
Oh no, absolutely, and I respect him. But I did another side note is I find it kind of weird. You guys saw the Warren Buffett dinner with Justin Sun, right, from Tron?
But it didn't happen.
No, it happened.
Did it?
Yeah,
oh, really?
Yeah,
okay.
there's pictures, and there's Charlie Lee like standing to the side, like, "Hey, mom." It's like I don't know what he was doing there. It's like, yeah, so I have this project. It's called Litecoin, but I don't have any because I sold it all. But maybe you would want to buy some. Yeah, no, but it happened. It happened.
I remember that there was some mix-up, and they ended up postponing it.
Yeah, but the problem is that 90% of the information that was coming out about this dinner was coming from the Twitter fingers of Justin Sun. So you don't really know how much of it is true and how much isn't. Like, no, that's not me trying to be a dick, but it's like, come on, like we're talking about a project that plagiarized their white paper from 9 different projects. Like, those are the facts. Like, you can't run away from that.
Right. Well,
Like,
I really like the walls in here. You
Oh,
know,
is he one of your investors?
the
Is he one of your
colors.
investors?
Nah.
Not yet. All right, we're gonna leave Justin Sun alone too. But yeah, but the dinner did happen, and Charlie Lee was there as well.
That's cool. That's nice. That's good.
Meh,
Dialogue.
meh.
That's all that matters.
What's gonna happen? Like, what's your ideal case scenario? What happens out of this dinner?
Like utopian one?
Yeah, sure. Best case scenario.
Everyone starts working together and they continue working together until the end of time.
Creating what?
Value for everyone. But
Yeah,
that's
I think people were excited about this dinner because they thought that Warren Buffett, who didn't invest in Google or Apple or anything like remotely, involved in tech, that he's going to be like, oh shit, I'm going to buy some Bitcoin now. I think that's what people wanted. They wanted to see billions start to flow into the market, but it's not like it's all hype. It's like, I'm sorry, but it's 90% of what Tron and Justin Sun does. It's hype. It's a market, like Tron is a marketing vehicle, nothing else. That's my opinion. I know that they're doing some stuff. I can't even tell you now. Like I followed them for a while, but like I've never held Tron.
I would be super surprised if Warren Buffett or his Berkshire Hathaway were to get into crypto. That's
no, it's not going to happen. Like why would they? Just
yeah, no point.
No, absolutely not. All right,
for them.
So to wrap up, ICOs are coming back. You're saving the rainforest. Market is in the green. Charlie Lee should stop tweeting, and Justin Sun had a dinner. Essentially, that's your last 2 weeks of crypto news. All right, guys, thanks for stopping
Cheers.
by, and I hope
Thanks
you
for
come
having
back.
us. Always.
We'll try not to delete this one.
That would be nice.
All right, guys, thanks again. Thanks for listening, and hopefully, maybe we'll see you next week or in 2 weeks.
That's
I
up to
try
you
not
guys.
to fly out too much now.